Right, hello. So we're going to go through the paper that you did today. Question 1, very quickly, write the number 5,689 correct to the nearest thousand. Well, here's the nearest thousand. Use a coloured pen, so nearest thousand is there. And that is going to be moved up by 1 because of the next digit being more than 5. So that's going to be 6,000. Work out 30 plus 12 over 5 plus 3. So that's 42 over 8, which is 21 over 4, which is 10.5 over 2, which is 5.25. Anything that's requires any working outs like this might not be quite accurate because I haven't got my calculator with me, hence why you should always have a calculator if it's a calculator exam. So if you think that this is wrong, well, you can check with your calculator. Reciprocal literally means 1 divided by any number you're doing a reciprocal of, so 1 divided by 0.125, and that is equal to 8 on your calculator. Multiple of 4, so which one's in the 4 times table? 12 is in the 4 times table. A prime number, well, 2 and 5 are the only prime numbers. 1 is a misconception, 1 is not a prime. It's not a prime number. Okay, question 4. There are 250 milliliters of water in another water bottle. I think it's been cropped out. Question 5 has been cropped out. So give me 1 second to get it up. And here we go. Question 5. There are 1.5 litres of water in a bottle. There are 250 milliliters of water in another bottle. Work out the total amount of water in the 2 bottles. Well, they are different units. Make them the same units. 1 litre is 1,000 milliliters. So 1.5 litres is 1,500 milliliters. 250 milliliter and 1,500 milliliter together make 1,750 milliliters. Or you could say it's 1.75 litres. Okay, let's delete this. So question 6. Here's a trapezium. This diagram is accurately drawn. So trapezium, here's your parallel lines. If it hasn't shown you it, do it straight away. Measure the length of the line PQ. So from P to Q, measure it properly using a ruler. I think it's around 8 centimeters, between 8 to 9 centimeters. It needs to be correct to the nearest millimeter, so it'll be 8 point something centimeters. And measure the angle, measure the size of the angle marked X. You have to use your protractor to do this, and this is definitely less than 45 degrees. So it's going to be between 30 and 45 degrees. Okay. Question 7, solve f plus 2f plus f is equal to 20. Well, the first thing you need to do is simplify this. F plus 2f plus f is 4f, and that is equal to 20. So divide by 4 on both sides, or divide by 4, or by inspection. This seems easy. So f is going to be 5. Check your answer. So 5 plus 2f's is 10, plus another f is 20. So f is 20. Solve 18 is equal to minus 18 minus m is 6. You can subtract 18 on both sides. This is one method. So minus m is equal to minus 12. To get rid of this minus, just times by minus 1 on both sides, because we want positive m, and n, so minus times a minus makes a plus. Minus 12 times minus 1 is 12. Or again, you could have done this by inspection. What's number? So if we have 18, take away a number is 6, and that number is definitely 12. Simplify this. Since we're multiplying, add the powers, so that's going to be d5. Okay, Jane writes the following. 3.4 times 5.3 is equal to 180.2. Without doing any exact calculation, explain why Jane's answer cannot be correct. Well, these types of questions, you need to know estimation. So we can estimate that to 3 times 5. 5.3 is close to 5. 3.4 is close to 3 to the nearest whole number. And 5 times 3 is 15. And 15 is nowhere near enough, close enough to 180.2. Use estimation. Three times 5 is 15. Not close to 180.2. Okay, question 9. The difference between A and B is 48. Work out the value of A and the value of B. Well, first thing you need to know is my pen is... Right, question 9. By far, probably one of my favourite questions. Hardly any maths is required for this. All you need to know is the meaning of the word difference. Difference between A and B is 48. So what that means is the distance from A to B is 48. So that's what difference really means. It's the distance between two things. So if the distance is 48, we need to know what the increments are. So the distance between this line here and this line, or any of the lines, they are all equal. So how many do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6 of them. So each one of them must be worth 8. So as we do 48 divided by 6 is 8. Now, value of A, well, there is 2 lots of 8s before 0. So it's going to be a negative 16. And value of B, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 lots of 8s after 0, and 4 times 8 is 32, so value of B is 32. Question 10, complete this table of values. Now this table of values is a bit strange. Honestly, I don't really like this question, but it's easy nonetheless if you know what you're looking for. When n is 12, so this is what we're saying, n is 12, we need to work out 3n plus 2. Well, 3n is 3 times 12, which is 36, plus 2 is 38. Now this time, for this part, we need to work out what n is. And 3n plus 2 is equal to 47. So that's what it says, 3n plus 2 is equal to 47. So what is n? Subtract 2 on both sides, we get 3n is equal to 45. Divide by 3 on both sides to balance, so n is equal to 15. So our n value is 15. Okay. Next question, question 11. The same number is missing from each box. Find the missing number. Well, if we multiply 3 numbers and they're the same, what we're doing is x cubed is 343. So if this was x, we don't know what it is, x times x times x. Since they're the same number, we can call it x. So x cubed is 343. So cube rooting on your calculator, cube rooting on both sides, cancels out this. So x is the cube root of 343, which is equal to 7. So x is 7. 4 to the power of 4 is 4 times 4 times 4 times 4, which is 16 squared. I think it is 256. So 4 to the power of 4 is just 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. Not 100% sure if it's 256, but I'm guessing it probably is. Anyway, question 13. Here's the first 3 terms of a sequence. Find the first 2 terms of the sequence that is less than 0. 2 methods you can do. Firstly, see what the difference is. It's going down in. Firstly, it's going down 8. Is it 8? No, it's going down in 6s, and this is going down in 6. So the next time it goes down in 6, it's going to be 14. Next time it goes down in 6, it's going to be 8. Again, 2 under the takeaway 6, so minus 4. Takeaway under the 6 is minus 10. So the first 2 terms in the sequence that are less than 0 is going to be minus 4 and minus 10. So minus 4 and minus 10. Okay. Here's a triangle ABC. Mark with the letter Y the angle CBA. Well, the way they've worded this, or the way they've arranged these 3 letters, is well, it's on purpose. It's not by accident. So CBA so start at C, go to B. So if we go to B, and then from B go to A, so CBA would create this angle, and this angle is Y. Here's a cuboid, shade the face CDEG. So again, same method, C, D, so C to D, E, G. And they won't go CDEGC, so the face that's made by these 3 lines is this. Let's see. How many edges does this cube have? Well, cuboid, sorry. I'm going to rub this off. The number of edges is the number of straight lines we have. So here's 1 edge, 2 edges, 3, 4 edges, then 5, 6, 7, 8 edges. So the number of edges it has is 8. Vertices, extra question, vertices are the corners. The corners of this cuboid are called vertices. And if they ask how many vertices it has 8 vertices. Question 15. There are 5 grams of fiber in every 100 grams of bread. The loaf of bread has a weight of 400 grams. There are 10 slices of bread in each loaf. Bread in a loaf. Each slice of bread has the same weight. Work out the weight of the fiber in 1 slice of bread. Okay, 5 grams of fiber in 100 grams of bread. Well, how many grams of fiber? So we're going to write our fiber here, and bread here. Bread, if it's 100 grams, it has 5 grams of fiber. So if we add 400 grams of bread, we've got 4 lots of 100, so we need 4 lots of 5, which is 20 grams of bread. So we've multiplied this side by 4, and they are proportional, so we have to multiply this side by 4 as well. Okay, so a 400 gram, a loaf of bread of 400 grams has 20 grams of bread, fiber. There are 10 slices of bread in a loaf. So here's our loaf of bread. So all of that has 20 grams. If we slice it up into 10 pieces, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So 10, imagine if they were equal, so 1 slice of bread would be, would have 2 grams of fibre, because we have to divide all of this by 10. So each slice has 2 grams of fibre. My favourite question, question 16. Give an example to show that when a piece is cut off a rectangle, the perimeter of the new shape is less than the perimeter of the rectangle. Well, if we were to cut off, we'll use a different tool. If we were to cut off that, then this shape here, this part of the rectangle that is still there, or this new shape, has a perimeter that's less than the original rectangle. Part 2. Give an example. So if we cut off a piece of this rectangle, it needs to have the same perimeter. Well, what we could do is we could cut off this section. So if we were to cut this section off, the perimeter of this new shape, or this L shape, is the same as the original rectangle, because this length here could be moved back to there, and this length will be moved back to here. Now the area is different, of course, but the perimeter of both shapes is the same. So, give an example, show a piece is cut off a rectangle, the perimeter of the new shape is greater than the perimeter of the rectangle. So our aim is to get as much lines on this rectangle, or create as much lines as possible, straight lines, to show that it has bigger perimeter. One way we could do this, or a boring way we could do this, is if we cut off this section. Then the distance around the rectangle is going to be longer. Another way we could have done this is cut off a semicircle. If we cut off a semicircle, I know it doesn't look like a proper semicircle, but if we had cut this off, then the distance would be longer, as you know that this distance here is obviously longer than this length here, hence why the perimeter would be longer. Question 17. Angle, well, ABC is an isosceles triangle. When angle A is 70 degrees, there are 3 possible sizes of angle B. This is, if I'm not mistaken, this is a very similar question to a Year 8 test, MEP book test. Let's have a go and do this anyway. Okay. I'm going to draw the isosceles triangle. Always do a sketch. And I'm going to use a different colour pen. Okay, ABC is an isosceles triangle. So if we call this A, this B, and C, angle A is 70 degrees. And if it were an isosceles, angle C would also be 70 degrees, and angle B would be 40 degrees. So one possible size of angle B would be 40 degrees. Now if we were to swap these lengths around, or these, I'll draw this again, if we were to swap these labels around, because we don't know where A, B and C lie, but all we know is that, wow. All we know is that angle A is 70 degrees. So, if we assume this is going to be rubbed off, if we assume that this is angle A now, and angle A is 70 degrees, then it doesn't matter where you put B and C, then the remaining angle is going to be 70 degrees as well, because 180, not 70, sorry, 180 subtract 70 would give us 110. So these two angles are the same and they sum up to 110, so all we have to do is divide that by 2. So this one would be 55 degrees and 55 degrees. Three possible sides of angle B. What other way could we have it? Angle A is 70 degrees. Another way we could have this is if sorry, let me just copy and paste this. So last triangle we could have that's nice. Is if angle A was here, we've already have B being at the top, so let's put C there, and if B was next to A, so if A was 70 degrees, since it's an isosceles triangle, so we've got the lines, B also must be 70 degrees. There's no need to find C, we just know that B is also going to be 70 degrees. When angle A is 120 degrees, there's only one possible size of angle B. Why? Well, let's do a sketch. What would it look like if A was 120 degrees? So it's still an isosceles triangle. So if A was, so if we call this A, call this B and C, if A was 120 degrees, if these two lengths were the same, C must also equal 120 degrees. That cannot happen because already these two angles total over 180 degrees. So that's not going to be possible. So A can't be there. If we had A over here and B and C, then if that was 120 degrees, then B and C must total to 60 degrees, as 180 subtract 120 is 60. So these two angles sum up to 60, but since they are the same because it's an isosceles triangle, they are both 30 degrees. 30 degrees. If B and C swap positions, that would be another triangle. Or if C was at the top, A would still be at the bottom, still wouldn't work. So this is the only way, or only possible size of angle B we could have if A was 120 degrees. And this only works because it's an isosceles triangle. The way you would explain this is that if A was a base angle, so an angle that is over here, so these are the base angles. If it was a base angle, then the sum would be over 180 degrees. A can only be a single angle, and angle B is the same as angle C. So if angle A was at the top, if it was single, B and C are going to be the same. So we don't even need to write C here, we can write a B. Angle B is equal to angle C, and B can only be 30 degrees. Okay, question 18. In the breakfast cereal, 40% of the weight is fruit, the rest of the cereal is oats. Write down the ratio of the weight of fruit to the weight of oats. Give your answer in the form of 1 to n. Okay, so 40% of the weight of the cereal is fruit. The topic of this question is fruit and oats, because they want the ratio of fruit to the weight of oats. Okay, so we have our fruit and we have our oats. Now, 40% is fruit, then the rest has to be oats, 60%. So we can write this as a ratio of 40 to 60, fruit to oats. And they wanted it in the ratio of fruits to the weights of oats, so 40 to 60. Simplifying this, well, we want this to be 1. So what have we done to go from 40 to 1? Since it's ratio and proportionality, we need to divide that by 40, so you can only times and multiply. And just like fractions, we need to do the same thing on the other side, divided by 40. 60 divided by 40 is the same as 6 divided by 4, which is 1.5. So this side is 1.5. So our n is 1.5, so it's 1 to 1.5. I'm going to go back to red. I think red is much better. Okay. A different breakfast cereal is made up using only fruit and bran. The ratio of weight of fruit to the weight of bran is 1 to 3. What fraction of the weight of this cereal is bran? So fruit to bran, F for fruit, B for bran, 1 to 3. Now, 1 part is fruit, 3 parts is bran. So altogether we have 4 parts. And 3 out of the 4 parts is bran. So 3 out of the 4 parts is bran. So here's our fraction of bran.